everyone, thank you for joining me for another episode of How I Healed from Eating Disorders. And today I wanted to chat about channeling our energy of control into something else. Because what we do when we have an eating disorder is we use that obsession with food to help us control how we feel, to help us deal with situations. And so it's not that easy just saying, stop doing that, right? The brain doesn't have like a zero function. It's got to have a plan of action. We just have to channel those emotions that we're feeling into something else. So the main emotion I want to look at is anger. Anger is a very, very strong, fierce emotion. Then specifically in eating disorders, we turn that anger towards ourselves. And you may be angry without actually even realizing it, because a lot of people kind of pride themselves on the fact that they know how to deal with things and they got everything under control and they're not actually angry. But an eating disorder is a type of anger. You are upset about something in your life, you turn it towards yourself, unless we find a different outlet for that feeling of anger. You don't want to do something like physical activity that is going to get you obsessed with how much you ran, how much calories you burned. And so what I would recommend is any form of art that doesn't have to do with a body, like singing, playing an instrument, drawing, sculpting, designing, and then of course writing stories or songwriting or writing a journal. It is important for people with obsessive tendencies like us to do something that's a hobby and somewhere where you can express yourself artistically and get those emotions out but not be judged. And you really do it for fun. You're not doing it to make it perfect. You're not doing it to show it or sell it to anyone. It's literally for yourself and for your own expression. There's also great ways for anger management, and you don't need a therapist or a coach to do that. I know of 3 great ones, which I'm going to give you now. One is boxing. You don't need a trainer, you don't need a coacher. All you need to do is put a mat against the wall and literally just punch. And when you punch, you can speak out loud about things that annoy you. And while you talk about it, you keep punching. They do it in therapy sessions. You can even get really cheap boxing gloves just for the sake of it so you don't hurt your hands. And at the same time, you can just shout. Now that brings me to the second technique, which is shouting. Putting loud music on and just shouting is amazing. You either shout in your house when there's nobody there, you close the door, you really shout and scream as hard as you can, getting all that anger and frustration out. Another way is going to the beach, somewhere remote where there's nobody there, or a field, an open field, or you go up to the roof of your house or your building and you just shout from there. Trust me, if you can let it out, it feels amazing. If you feel like it's too much for you to do on your own, grab a friend and do it together. And a third really good anger management technique is called the angry kid. Lying on the bed with your face down and you start banging really hard in your arms and your legs, just rummaging around. You get all your anger out. You might feel a little bit silly doing it, but when you do it, it feels absolutely amazing. The second emotion that I want to turn to is something that sometimes comes after the anger is released. So once we release the anger, we sometimes feel a lot of sadness, right? So the anger is like the high, the energy. And then what comes underneath is that weakness, that feeling of helplessness. I would encourage you guys to use artistic expression to express sadness, watching a sad film in bed and allowing yourself to just cry things out. And of course, talking, speaking to other people. When you feel really, really sad, allow yourself to call a friend and let them know that you need to chat. But any way that you can feel will let that sadness out of your body and enable you to create something else with it. So remember that anger and sadness are both emotions that we feel all the time. When we're feeling those highs and downs, it's just so important that we don't fall into the same trap. So we're not comforting ourselves and trying to fix the problem by eating or not eating. We have to make sure that we're turning the attention to something else. So I wish you good luck in finding that outlet that works for you. And if you've got any suggestions, any cool things that you have done to help deal with different emotions and you want to share, if you've got questions, feel free to put them below in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. In the meantime, all the best. I'll see you soon.